YouTube friends, welcome. Um, Crystal Blogs back with another video. Thank you for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm very appreciative of it. And this is just a disclaimer before I get into this video. I just want to say I'm not here to preach hate. I'm not here to talk down or blame a group of people. I'm not here to promote victim mentality. Um, like I said, I don't hate white people or anything of that matter, but I'm a free thinker. I'm open-minded. I'm also an independent thinker, and I'm a realist. So even though I may talk about certain topics, this particular topic I want to shed some light on because being a young black man in America, it's kind of wrong or just doesn't feel right if I didn't shed light on this certain subject. But let's get right into it. I'm reading this book, and it's a quote. I like to start my videos off with a quote, and this quote is it's wait a second. This quote says, "No matter what has occurred in your life up to this point, it should have no bearing at all on how you live from now on. That you, living in the here now, are the one who determines your own life." So don't let the past or anything that happened up until this point hold you back or beat you down. We're all in this together, no matter what race you are, and we're just trying to make it. Start small, get through the day. And trust me, we gonna make it. So this video is I'm gonna talk about how young black males are targeted by the system. Black men in general. The first thing I want to say is that racism in this country affects black men more than black women. You know, Black women can actually rise up in the corporate ladder and in the workforce and in the world just because she's a woman. And she will have a better chance than a black man to succeed because I think black men, especially young black men who are intelligent and adequate and equipped, are seen as dangerous, seen as a threat. And I never understood why. The questions we should be asking is why. What's the point of it? Where's all the hate come from? Is it jealousy? Like, what's the reasons behind it? And to understand how we got here now is to dig back in the past, not stay stuck in it and keep blaming racism and slavery for the reason why black people are in the current state as a whole. It's that's part of the reason, but a lot of the reason, especially nowadays in 2025, or a lot of it is self-inflicted by the gangs and the culture and rap music and the kind of values black men, especially young black men, have today. And it's not every black man. There are some black men who try and who are trying to be there for their families and who are doing the right thing. It's a stereotype. A lot of it is stereotype. There are good, solid black men, young and middle age and older, who are doing the right thing and setting a good example, but they just don't get the representation and the publicity and the support that's needed to put them out there. And like I said, it's because of the culture and what black men value, or black people period value. Like I said, especially in the corporate world, for example, from every black judge, for every one black male judge, there's 4 black women judges. For every one black male CEO, there's 3 to 4 black women who are CEOs. You know what I'm saying? Business owners, for every one black male business owner, there's 2 to 3 black women business owners. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's just, first of all in the United States there's an attack on masculinity in men in general, whether you're black, white, Hispanic, Asian. If you're a man, you're not liked. And on top of that too, being black is like 2 strikes, not just in America, the whole world. We are the most hated, disrespected, bottom of the barrel group in the entire planet. Black men. There's, like I said, I'm a realist and I'm tuned in reality. That's the truth, man. Like I said, we're not all on that level, but by society and the majority of the world, we're looked at as the bottom of the barrel. And I think it's mainly because, like I said, the stereotypes. A lot of people have, unconscious biasness and prejudice towards black men, especially by the system. And like I said, I'm not here to blame white people because I got some of my closest friends are white. You know what I'm saying? Some of the things I do would be stereotypical white people shit, but I mean, it's just, that's just what I'm interested in. I'm me. I be myself. So, and let's start with the system. We're gonna go back. We're gonna go back to what is it? Reconstruction. So during the Reconstruction era, Reconstruction was something with good intentions, but they don't tell you the backside and the truth of what happened. See, a lot of these agendas, they may seem good on the outside, but behind closed doors and on the other side of a coin, there's a secret hidden agenda. You know what I'm saying? There's things that are not being told and being talked about. They try to keep hidden and suppressed. Reconstruction, yes, it was back in like 1870, 1872, I want to say Reconstruction happened, or it might have been right after the Emancipation in like 65, 1865. But anyways, they were trying to integrate, the schools and on a federal government level. But see, the problem is too, a lot of black people who had positions of power, who were in the White House, Town Hall, Congress, what I'm saying, a lot of major black business owners, a lot of them were taken out of their positions. A lot of them lost their positions and they were replaced with, white supremacists and white racists. Not all of them, but a lot of them. That's what happened. Like I said, a lot of high class black people were taken out of those offices. So, and for example, mass incarceration, the 1994 crime bill. You know what I'm saying? It was made with good intentions, and it may seem like it helped, but it caused a lot of mass incarceration within the black and the Hispanic community. It's like a ripple effect. Everything that happens to white people and to other minorities, it all comes down like a mudslide. And of course, the bottom of the barrel, African Americans, I don't like using that term, sorry. Black Americans, colored folks, get hit the hardest. We get most of it. We get hit the hardest, and it's a reality that needs to be talked about, and people need to be honest about it. So yeah, I do believe that this system has a bias and prejudice towards black people, and no other race is there to help us but us. The problems we have are uniquely ours. We may find some common ground and similarities with other races, but black people's problems are unique to us. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I'm promoting the message that we need to start coming together and setting positive role models. A lot of the reasons why uh, black people, especially young black males, are in the current state we are in is because, like I said, I'm not trying to do the blame game or promote victim mentality, but it's because of the generation before us. You know, fathers not around. Um, but like I said, when you have a system that targets young black males, and they were doing it to previous generations before, and there was and during the times right around like the 50s and 60s, and even during Black Wall Street, when we had some success, it was a lot of disenfranchisement, you know, and throughout history, the government, the system didn't do anything but take advantage of the situation that black people were going through. There was a time where if you were black, you couldn't read or write. So what did the system do? They didn't try to help or rehabilitate us. They just reinforced it and perpetuated and took advantage of the situation. You know, like cops back in the day, they used to be, sort of active in the communities and communicate and try to get an understanding of the criminals or what's going on in the neighborhood. But since all these new policies and laws came out, now is the relationship between police and the impoverished communities is just pretty much shattered. You know what I'm saying? It's strictly cops and robbers when it used to be human interaction. We just doing different things. You understand? So I think a lot of it too is just the fear of the unknown, and you know what I'm saying. I'm not gonna blame it all on the cops because, like I said, a lot of what's going on in these communities are self-inflicted. But that's all. Young black males, we're frustrated, we're depressed, we're angry. You know what I'm saying? We don't have a knowledge of self. We suffer from lack of knowledge, low self-esteem. So what do you expect from a young person who feels and is going through like that? You know what I'm saying? What is just expect us to be worker ants, worker slaves? No, we're gonna rebel against the system, and a lot of us uses gang violence and rap music to do that. Even though a lot of rap music is negative, you can see in these young brothers' eyes that they're just suffering. They're screaming, they're crying on the inside. That inner child, their childhood wounds. We need healing. That's all it is. We need healing. We need to reconnect with our fathers or father figures. Understand? And another thing too is that affects America as a whole. We're not taught to be entrepreneurs and self-reliant. We're pretty much taught to be slaves. We're just taught to work for the rest of our lives, from the time we're become adults to 63, or what's the retirement age, 65 or 67 or something. We're taught just to work. We're not taught how to be entrepreneurs and how to become self-sufficient people. So I just want to just to think about it, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, the enemy is not white people, it's the system. And what I think is happening with the whites is that, they got their own problems, of course, but it's like there's a lot of white people out there who don't understand black culture or have a lot of black friends. So it's like they're looking from an outside point of view, and it may be 110% different than the view of what I'm saying or what we go through. It's like this system gaslights black people, especially young black males. They tell us, oh, black people are lazy and all we want to do is criminality and be hard asses and rebellious. But at the same time, they have all these laws and policies in place that disenfranchises black people in these impoverished communities. They like I said, they're perpetuating and taking advantage of the stuff that black people are already going through. It's not there to help us. There's a few policies and programs we can take advantage of, but most of this stuff is to keep us in the system, to keep us down. You got to understand, as black people, especially young black male, we're in somebody else's house playing somebody else's rules, playing by somebody else's rules. And, we got a very uphill battle, especially if you have a criminal record and you're trying to do right. It's 10 times harder. And just in my personal experience, growing up, I was very naive to the game, and the harsh reality of being a young black male. But like I said, between right when I turned when I started getting out there, I was young, probably like 15, 16. And now being 25 and, you know, got into some legal trouble and actually seeing the system firsthand through experience, I can tell you that, yo, it's real. They target us. You know what I'm saying? They're not saying we are oppressed necessarily, but they have some bias towards us, and it's just some unconscious fear or hate towards us. You know? So just think about that. I didn't want to make this video super long, but feel free to share your views, and thanks for watching.